Hey, Dan Coach Miller here for NorCal Sports Network with a video on the San Francisco Giants titled Why the Giants Rarely Get to October Baseball. And just to let you know, we've been here since 2023 covering the Giants, but I've been a Giants fan since 1968. Yes, that's right. I've seen it all. And we're going to go to Giants history tonight. I'm going to dig deep into the archives and talk to you about Giants baseball from 1958 when they arrived in San Francisco. You're not going to want to miss this. So make sure you like and subscribe to this video. It really helps push out the video. So like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And also, let us give a thanks to our sponsor, Chapman Law Group, 415-613-9483. Give Chapman Law Group a call for all your legal needs. All right, guys, this is going to be a fun one. This one took me a while, a lot of looking things up, and it just was something else. So let me get going into this. October baseball. All right, that's the title. October baseball? Not in San Francisco. Not really. Not really. In fact, let me put this. I've got in my hands here the times the Giants have made the playoffs since they arrived in 1958, 13 times. That's it. In 67 seasons, that's just a hair over 19% of the time. That's right. The Giants have made the baseball playoffs or postseason less than 20%. And you look at the Dodgers, they've made 13 in a row. The San Francisco Giants are the winningest franchise in the history of Major League Baseball. More so than the Yankees, more regular season wins than any other team. I'm not talking about World Series titles. I'm talking about the most regular season wins, dating back to the 1800s, of course, when the Giants were one of the earlier franchises. So that's one of the bigger reasons they have the most wins. But this team plays in one of the largest markets in the country. They generate top-tier revenue, always generally in the top 5. Sometimes they might be 6th. They have one of the most loyal fan bases in the sport. And yet the San Francisco Giants, since 1958, that's right, 67 years. Now, get ready for this. The Giants have made the postseason in consecutive seasons only one time. Let that sink in. One. That's what we're going to be talking about here tonight. Not emotionally, not angrily. I'm not angry, but honestly and factually. Okay. So let me pull up a graphic here that will show you the Giants here all-time wins when it comes to the actual, I don't know if you can blow that up a little bit, but the Giants have 11,382 wins. The Cubs are next at 11,125. The Dodgers, 11,202. The Cardinals, 11,195. And the Yankees, 11,195, actually tied. Then the Braves. And then it goes on and on down the list. But that is what I'm referring to when I talk about the actual the Giants having the most wins of any franchise in the history of Major League Baseball. That's pretty huge. So that's more wins than that's the New York Giants and obviously the San Francisco Giants combined. I figured everybody knew that. So this organization, it's a great organization. It's historical. And this is why, as I put all these pieces together and factual information in this video, it's shocking the Giants are not more successful. This organization, it's not cursed. It's not unlucky. It's historically elite, right? Which makes what we're about to discuss even more difficult to explain. Okay. So since moving to San Francisco in 1958, I'll repeat this, the Giants have made the postseason in back-to-back seasons one time. Now, does anybody know when that was? It was actually there's the graphic right there. And I want to point this out because this is very important. The Yankees have 13 streaks of consecutive years. Okay. So it could be like 2005 and 6. They take 2007 off and then start another one 2008, 2009. That's considered 2 streaks, just to make it clear. So the Yankees have 13 consecutive streaks of making the postseason back-to-back years. And in their situation, their longest streak was 13 years. So they made it 13 years in a row. The Cardinals have 7 streaks, and their longest was 5 years in a row. The Dodgers, they have 5 consecutive streaks of being in the playoffs, but they're on a 13-year run right now where they've made it 13 years in a row. The Braves, they've done it as well 5 times, and their biggest streak was 14 years. I believe that started in the very early 90s, like 91, somewhere in there. The Astros have 5, and their longest streak was 5 consecutive years. The Red Sox 5 years. The Cubs have 4 streaks. Their longest was 3 years. The Mets, 3 streaks of consecutive postseason appearances back to back, and they had their longest was 3 years. The Rangers, okay, the list goes on and on. Only the Marlins are at 0. Only the Miami Marlins or Florida Marlins, whatever they've been in their history, have never gone to the playoffs in consecutive seasons or back-to-back. The Padres have done it once. The Rays have done it once. The Rockies have done it once. There's the Giants over there on the bottom right. They've done it one time, 2002 and 2003. That was the last time the Giants actually did make the playoffs in consecutive seasons. Now, to be fair, and I want to give a shout out to Brian Sabean and Ned Colletti, because they took over a Giants team in 1997 and had 8 consecutive winning seasons. And had the 3-team wild card, what we have today, been in place, the Giants would have made the playoffs 8 consecutive years from 97 through 04. So just being fair, but the point is the Giants have never done it more than once, 2002, 2003. But shout out to baseball guys Brian Sabean and Ned Colletti, because they really turned the organization around. They had 8 winning seasons, and then, of course, Ned went on to go down to the LA Dodgers in 2006, and Brian continued, and that's where the Giants ended up winning 3 World Series titles in 5 years, but they never made it back-to-back playoffs in that run. They missed out in 2011 and 2013 and 2015, and then since 2016, they've made it in 16 and 21. That's it. So the Giants have not performed to a stable type of franchise that is considered a winning franchise, even though they have the most wins in the history of baseball. The 60s were great for the Giants. They finished second, I believe. If I go back to the 60s, the Giants went to the World Series in 1962, their first World Series appearance in San Francisco, but they finished second from 65 through 68 when there were no divisions. That was just 12 teams in the National League, 10, 12 teams, whatever it was. Whoever won the National League went straight to the World Series. So the Giants were the bridesmaids 5 straight times, 65, 6, 7, and 8. And then 69, when the divisions came into being, the Giants finished second in 1969 as well. So a lot of seconds for the Giants. Again, postseasons for the Giants, 62, 71, 87. See, I lived through this. I was 10 years old in 71, and I was so excited and had front row seats practically at Candlestick Park to, I think it was the 3rd row, had they made the World Series, and we didn't make it. Nope. My uncle had great seats because he was very active in San Francisco and knew The owners, Horace Stoneham at the time, very well. We had tickets for the World Series, and they didn't get to go. Lost to the Pirates after winning Game 1. And then had to wait all the way till 1987 for another division title, and 1989 for their first World Series. And of course, we know what happened in the World Series. The 89 earthquake kind of put a damper on that. And then the Giants had to wait till 97 to win another division. That was the year that Jeff Kent arrived, the famous trade for Matt Williams that Brian Sabean said, "I'm not an idiot." And no, Brian, you were not. You made some great savvy trades and great draft picks. And then they had to wait till 2000, the next division title, the first year, the opening of Pac Bell Park, now Oracle Park. And then it was 02-03, the only consecutive years the Giants made the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. And then we had to wait till 2010, 12, 14, and we got our 3 world titles. So we played in 6 World Series in San Francisco, lost the first 3, won the last 3. And then 16 was a season that they were falling apart in the second half. And that was a time that the Giants, probably looking back, should have started a rebuild. But they, from 17 through 20, were awful, had an unbelievable all-time season in 21, winning 107 games. And you know the rest of the story. It's been 500 at best since 2022 or below. So we're going on year 5 here, 2026 season. Can the Giants get above 500 for the first time since 2021? All right. So, the thing about every championship season, those were great seasons, but they were all followed by a reset. No sustained window, no continuity. And this isn't really a league-wide issue, guys. Other franchises don't operate this way. Teams like the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Braves, the Cardinals, this particular graphic here, and this is, I'm only going to show 6 teams here. And what I'm showing is the revenue of the New York Yankees, and they've had 13 consecutive times that they made the playoffs. Same with the Dodgers. Yankees revenue, $680 million. I'm sorry, that's a little small to kind of visualize there. Dodgers, $620 million, 13 years. The Braves, $425 million. And this is revenue according to 2024 Forbes, by the way. All right. And I'm not showing the whole league, just some of the top teams. Houston Astros, $410 million. The Cardinals, $360 million. And then the Giants, 1 consecutive playoff, as I mentioned, but still right up there, $440 million. So what we have with this team is we have the consecutive streaks, but yet the Giants, what I'm trying to show you here is that all the revenue that the Giants take in, and yet they don't win. So what is the problem? This is not a small market operation. These franchises all have money. Only one has failed to have sustained success, and that's the Giants. And I don't think that's coincidence. That's organizational philosophy. And before we go any further, let me define the next metric very clearly, okay? When I say postseason appearance rate, I mean simply making the playoffs. I think you guys know that. You're a smart audience, but I just want to be clear on that. So that means division title or wild card or better. Nothing more, nothing less. All right, so as I move into this modern era, I want to show you another graphic here. This one's, hopefully it's somewhat easy to read, but it's a little difficult. But the Giants, oops, I hit the wrong graphic. Sorry, guys. I put the all-time winning graphic in there. I want this graphic. Okay, there we go. So what this graphic shows us is the Dodgers have made the playoffs since 2015. This is from 2015 to 2024. All right. This chart just doesn't include the 25 season. Although if we did, the Dodgers would have made the playoffs again. So the Dodgers, 100% every single year, they've made the playoffs since 2015 through the 24 season. And you can add 25. The Yankees, they made it 80% of the time, 8 out of 10, but then they made it again last year. So 9 of 11. The Astros, 80%, they did not make it last year. So the Cardinals made it 7 out of 10. All right. 7 out of 10 times in 10 years. The Phillies, 30%. Now, if we added 25, they made it again. So that's 4 years in a row, actually, for the Phillies. The Mets, 30%. Another big market team. Notice all these big market teams: Dodgers, Yankees, Braves, Astros, Cardinals, Phillies, Mets, and the Giants have made it 20%. 2016 and 2021. That's it. Okay. So the Giants are at the bottom of the big market teams when it comes to making the postseason. And this just got to change. This isn't, the middle of America. I mean, look at how the Cardinals, what a wonderful franchise, the way they're running it. And I like what the Cardinals are doing presently. They're starting to rebuild. They're picking a lane. Earlier today, Wilson Contreras was traded to the Red Sox. They are tearing it down. They realize they're not ready to win, and so they're going to get prospects. And I can see the Giants going that way if they're not going to spend the money. If they don't win this year with the veterans they have on the team, it may be time to tear that down. All right. So also, I just want to mention, I did not put the Chicago Cubs in there there's a lot of space issues. I did check the Cubs. They're another big market, high revenue team. They made the postseason 4 times in that 10-year span of 2015 through 2024. So, and then they made it in 25. So even they cleared a higher bar than the Giants, the Cubs. Okay. So I want to mention what this is and what this is not. All right. It's about decisive spending. It's not about demanding championships every year. That's difficult to do. People who demand championships every year, they're just not, what would I say? They're not very wise or astute fans of sports. People complain about the Golden State Warriors, like, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? My goodness, it's very hard to win championships year after year after year. It's hard to do in sports. That's why it's rarely done. The Chiefs missed out on a three-peat last year in the Super Bowl by losing to the Eagles. This year, the Chiefs didn't even make the playoffs. So will the Dodgers go for 3 in a row this year? That remains to be seen in 2026. So as I mentioned, it's not about demanding championships. It's about relevance. It's about continuity, direction. The most frustrating thing isn't losing. It's resetting over and over again. And I want to see the Giants pick a lane. You guys have seen my graphic on here, I'm sure several times, but I'll throw it up there again. Giants need to pick a lane. They've got the money. They can move over to the World Series or bust lane and go for it all, like the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, Mets, Yankees, Braves, Phillies, those teams that spend and are competitive year after year. Or they could stay in that middle lane, driving at that 500 level, happy with it, Giants baseball, content with 500, nothing like it, or move over to the right lane and rebuild. And you can put the St. Louis Cardinals now in that right lane. They are rebuilding. So this is kind of what I'm referring to when I talk about resetting over and over again. And you can't keep going out and trying to buy free agents that are not at the top of the free agent food chain. They're kind of in the middle, and that's why you end up in the middle. Matt Chapman, yes, he's a star, all-star, all-time defensive third baseman. but he's not a good hitter. If you look at his stats, he's never really produced, and he's very poor. He's got like a lifetime batting average of 241, and he's had 90 RBIs one time in his season, one time over 90, never any other season over 80 RBIs for a middle of the order bat. Matt Chapman either needs to bat at the very top of the order or near the bottom, 1, 2, or 7, because he's not a 3, 4, 5 guy. And I don't even think he's a 6. But this is where the Giants land, these mid-level guys. Now, Rafi Devers, that's a difference. That could be a difference maker. And that's why it's time to win with a guy like Rafi Devers. So great organizations protect more than assets. They protect standards. The Giants are baseball's winningest franchise, and they acting like sustained competitiveness is unreasonable. I don't understand how the Giants have only in 67 years made the postseason in 2 straight seasons one time. I don't understand that. This is not the Colorado Rockies. This is not the Marlins. This is not, the Pittsburgh Pirates have done it more. So, heck, what have the Pirates done? Let me put that graphic up. Pittsburgh Pirates have done it. Where are the Pirates? They've done it twice, and they made it 4 years in a row at one point. The Giants have never made it more than 2 years. The A's have made it 3 years in a row. And I'm not even sure if that is right, because I think the A's made it 4 years in a row. 72, 3, and 4, they went to the World Series, and they made the playoffs in 75. So I caught a mistake already, and I hope there's not others in this graphic. I had to get a little help from, Google, but that is the A's is wrong. They made the playoffs 4 years in a row, and they might have did the same thing in the 80s and early 90s, 88, 89, 90. I'm not sure if the A's made it in 91, but I know they were in the World Series for 3 straight years. 88, lost to the Dodgers. Then 89, they beat the Giants. And then 90, they lost to the Reds. So, there you go. So the Giants, I know the Giants is right, though. I know the Giants is perfectly right. They've only made it one time, guys. And that has to start changing. That definitely has to start changing. And you do it by building up your own farm system and being able to develop these guys. And they either come up or they become trade pieces for pieces you need. And this is why the Dodgers have had sustained, get that word out, Dan, sustained success. And they've made the playoffs every year since 2013. The last time the Dodgers were not in the playoffs, you got to go all the way back to 2012. And I don't see their streak ending anytime soon, especially with 3 wild cards. I mean, the Giants have not even made the playoffs with 3 wild cards. You've got 3 division winners and 3 wild cards. That's 40% of the league is making the playoffs. I got to do my math here and check. 6 out of 15, I believe, is 40%. It sure is. 40% of teams in baseball make the playoffs. 12 out of 30. And the Giants have not made it in this era. This is absolutely unacceptable for a team that has the resources that they do. So the Giants, they got to start picking that lane. If you're going to, don't stay in that middle lane and try and thread a needle and say, okay, we're going to make the playoffs with some inferior players. Go out and either get the better players or rebuild it, because you can't just do it one way or the other. The Giants have the resources, everyone. They have the resources to spend. They're spending, they've been under the CBT. They can go over the CBT at least 1 year and then come back and reset. I mean, Robbie Ray falls off the books after the 26th season. That's $25 million gone. Go out and go over and then come back down move off of a few guys that don't perform in the 26th season. So I'm just saying history demands more. The market allows more. The fans deserve more. October baseball? Not in San Francisco lately, guys. Sadly to say, this has not been the successful franchise that we think. Without those 3 World Series in 10, 12, and 14, if you take all those away, those titles, and they were fortunate, they got them, so they count, and obviously we count them, but without those, the Giants have not been that successful. Again, 13 times they've made the playoffs in 67 years, 19.4% of the time. That's it. Only 13 times. And we've seen the Dodgers make it 13 in a row. Next year, if the Giants do not make the playoffs in 26 and the Dodgers do, the Dodgers will have one more. They'll have 14 straight playoff appearances in 14 years. And the Giants will have had 13 in 68. Let that sink in. And yet, I go back, the Giants are the all-time winningest franchise in regular season in all of Major League Baseball. So this is just, I think fans should demand more. And I think ownership needs to look at themselves in the mirror and say, yeah, we are the San Francisco Giants, and we're tied to the New York Giants, and we got the most winningest franchise in all of baseball. And it's not like we don't have this incredible property with this beautiful waterfront stadium right there on the bay that is fully paid for. And now you have Mission Rock, and now you've got Curran Theater, of course. So you're in the theater business, and yet you're not going out and spending and getting the players you need. They have the money. Look, I truly believe this. If I were running this team and the goal was win at all costs. It wasn't financial restraint. It was win at all costs. I think there's a way to do that. I think the Giants, could go out and spend the money. Look, they got Carlos Correa to sign here. Now, that was a ridiculous contract, and thankfully it fell through, because that would have been a disastrous contract. The Giants, that would be probably the worst contract in baseball right now. I mean, Anthony Rendon's contract was horrible, right? Xander Bogaerts has got a pretty bad contract with the Padres. They'd love to get rid of that. But you don't need no albatross contract like Carlos Correa. You only do that for the stars, the guys like Ohtani, right? I mean, and a Judge. I get that. I mean, the Giants should have probably, in hindsight, offered Ohtani $1 billion, but I don't even know if he would have taken it. I'm not sure, because, why come to San Francisco when you can go to LA and win? The Giants have to change the culture. And how do you change the culture? By winning. And I've got some other ideas that I'll be coming out with other videos on this, but I want to thank you guys all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed your Sunday NFL. The Niners clinched the playoffs without even playing. They play tomorrow night, but with Detroit losing today, the Niners are now playoff bound for the 2025 season. If they win tomorrow night and happen to win the last two against Chicago and Seattle, the NFC number 1 seed with a bye in the Super Bowl in their backyard. So, all right, guys, I want to see winning baseball come back to San Francisco consistently. And I think we think about these World Series and we think that the Giants are all that, right? Because we like, hey, they won 3 World Series. But I just pointed out they really haven't been that successful in their tenure in San Francisco. 19.4% of the time. A lot of bridesmaid finishes in the 60s and in divisions. But there's no excuse for the San Francisco Giants to be floundering in 4th place in the last 4 years when they are at the top of the market when it comes to revenue. So let's go Giants. Not trying to, just beat a dead horse on you guys, but just beat you up. But let's spend some money. You have the money. Let's either spend the money or do what the St. Louis Cardinals are doing and sell off some of these guys and do a complete full rebuild and become a sustained team that wins year after year after year. The Giants, with 3 wild cards, they should be in that 80% range of playoff bursts. They should be right up there, 70 to 80% out of 10 years. With 3 playoff bursts, come on. That's not that difficult when you're competing against 5 or 6 other teams that have no shot at the postseason. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and comment on this video. We do read the comments. Let me know what you think. What did you think of this? Did any of this catch you by surprise? The Giants' history, only 13 playoff appearances in 67 years, only consecutive playoffs once in 2002 and 2003. Let me know your thoughts. Agree, disagree, and we'll read the comments and try to respond as we can. All right. Thanks for watching. Again, if you would do us a favor, like this video and subscribe to NorCal Sports Network. Appreciate you watching. Take care. We will catch you on the next one.